Alright, this is pretty awkward for me since it's been like 3 months since I recorded another rant on media films, but anyway, this one's gonna be about the Lego movie that was released February 7th, 2014. The movie starts off with a protagonist named Emmett, and said to be an average Joe, generic, goes with the crowd, not a single original thought, and always follows instructions. He works as a construction worker, and the antagonist of this movie is President Businessman. We'll call him PB for short, remember that for later. Emmett, as I mentioned before, is the generic average Joe, an NPC as nowadays people would call him. We're shown this around the timestamp in the movie at like 11:45, when everyone he thought he knew, everyone he thought he knew actually knew nothing about him or even noticed he was missing. Some of his coworkers even describe him as that yes man, or even a blank slate with no discernible personality, or as a coworker said, we all have something that makes us something, and Emmett is nothing. Being told you're nothing is extremely hurtful. Even being told you don't have a personality is damaging. And it's clear that Emmett thinks that, although he doesn't have any actual real friends, if any. So imagine being shown that no one actually remembered you. Even if you work with these people every day, you greet them all the time. You even take the time to remember their special dates, whatever. They hardly remember your face, or as the movie described him, so generic he looks like everyone else in a database. To suddenly being told you're the special one by some prophecy, and this special one is the most coolest, most special, interesting, and the greatest person in the world. Now I point this out because throughout the movie we're introduced to Wildstar and her colleagues, who constantly doubt him as he doesn't look special. This implies she/they, who the special one would not only act like, but look like. And soon enough, she reveals she herself wanted to be the special one, another reason for her doubt in B. But now let's talk about BP. BP is a president, perfectionist. He wants everything exactly the way he likes it and hates original thinking. And it's clear that he and Emmett are one and the same, and we find out around timestamp 10756 that the prophecy was made up. This is also before we find out outside. But this is also before we get a look outside of Emmett's world, and we get human representations of the exact situation. BP represents the adult that sees his kid playing with his Lego project as destruction rather than imaginative art, timestamp 1:26:27. This view is closed-minded and focuses on what was instead of what it's created to be. Something to be shared, cherished, and experienced. In this case, it'd be the son's imaginative mind, as conversation between hero and villain shows how our view of being special often excludes us.
Look at all of these things that people built. You might see a mess.
Exactly. And a bunch of weird, dorky stuff that ruined my perfectly good stuff.
Okay, what I see are people inspired by each other and by you. People taking what you made and making something new out of it.
1:27:04. The conclusion I'm going to make right here, after the clip, of course, this movie is more important than it appears, and it's because when people think of special, they think of exclusion, not inclusion. Just like how the adult man eventually came around, instead of excluding the kid and discouraging the kid's imagination, he now encourages it and even helps finish the story. It's not always about just toys. Through this movie, they showed us that our desperate need to exclude others has separated us more than ever, and others think inclusion means invasion. Another wrong belief that happens when entitlement, ego, and curiosity ball into one. This movie also showed that more than anything, we put our cages around ourselves. Emmett didn't start off thinking he was special. He wanted to be like everyone else, to fit in. And even if we hate to hear it, it's true. 99% of the population wants to fit in, not just with society, but with community, friends, etc. But sometimes those connections hurt. You find out you weren't as important to them as they were to you, vice versa. Those pains, that fear, can drive many into anti-socialism, and others are just born without the need, yet are treated as monsters. The movie, while funny, reveals a lot about our society and how we view things. the world, others, and ourselves. Many find importance in others, some in objects, materialism, hobbies, but some are just like Emmett. They mimic and lose themselves in the process and still haven't discovered themselves, and we don't tell people that even that's okay. We put so much stress on our youth to be important, to be something, instead of appreciating life, the small things, and finding themselves. We tell them make money, and while that is important, we make money a personality. We make emotions cringe, and we put so much thought into what others are doing because it's the majority vote. That's more performative rather than genuine, leaving ourselves constantly envious, angry, upset, and unfulfilled. It's not always true when people say this. At the end of the day, this is an opinion, nothing based in fact, honestly. But I think we're seeing the effects of that today in more than just youth, but adults too. But that's the end. Yeah, I had to read that off a script, so sorry if the editing is whack. Anyway, that's it. Comment your opinions. See ya.